When the weather outside is crummy, Iowa hosts the first in the nation presidential nominating contest. All that and more now on Graph's Grievances. The day is finally here. After months and months of campaigning, Republican caucus goers in Iowa getting to choose who they want to be their presidential nominee. And while the media would lead you to believe this is the biggest news story in the world, in reality, what happens in the Hawkeye state tonight is rather meaningless. Just ask Mike Huckabee, Rick Santorum, and Ted Cruz. All of them won the Iowa caucuses, and yet none of them became the Republican presidential nominee. Helping explain Iowa's lack of predictive value is the paltry participation in the caucuses and the lack of almost any diversity in the state. There are around 716,000 registered Republicans in Iowa today, yet in the best of years, only around 30% of Republicans participate in the caucuses. And this year, you can be almost certain there will not be record turnout. Iowa is currently experiencing historically cold temperatures with wind gusts over 20 miles per hour. The National Weather Service forecasting sub-zero temperatures in Des Moines today, with wind chills dropping to as low as minus 30 degrees. And yes, Iowans are used to this type of weather, but you really have to be motivated to go out and caucus at night under these conditions. So while the final Iowa poll by the Des Moines Register and NBC News showed Donald Trump with a commanding lead over Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, 48% to 20% for Haley and 16% for DeSantis, will Iowans bother to come out and caucus? And that fear is what prompted this.
The caucus will be filled with a lot of great people. I say if you're single, you'll probably meet your future husband or wife. You can't sit home. If you're sick as a dog, you say, darling, I gotta back. Even if you vote and then pass away, it's worth it.
He was not joking. Trump is just fine with you dying so long as you first caucus for him. The former president, who faces 91 felony counts from 4 criminal prosecutions, is clearly nervous about his performance tonight after setting sky-high expectations.
And against the Republicans, we're up 60 points. 60. Think of it. Who the hell ever thought that was going to happen so quickly? We have like a 60-point lead everywhere. Great polls just out. Leading by 40, 50, and even 60 points. Who expected that? I did.
And with recent polling and the terrible weather now suggesting Trump will not beat Haley and DeSantis by 60 points, you can be certain he is getting ready to falsely claim the Iowa caucuses are rigged even if he wins. The man simply cannot fathom that anyone would vote against him. And such extreme narcissism explains why Trump wants to end democracy in the United States and is now openly campaigning on being a, quote, dictator on day one if he returns to the Oval Office. Which brings us back to Trump's remaining challengers for the GOP nomination. Instead of denouncing his plans to potentially strip Americans of their right to vote and choose their leaders, Haley and DeSantis have virtually refused to criticize Trump. And as such, they have given Republicans no reason to vote for them over the former president. Which explains why, according to NBC News and the Des Moines Register, Trump's supporters in Iowa are way more enthusiastic to caucus for him than Haley's backers or DeSantis's backers. And on a cold, frigid winter night, enthusiasm will likely matter a lot. So if the polls are in the ballpark, and that is a big if, the main question tonight will be who comes in second place between DeSantis and Haley. And because DeSantis has placed all of his bets on winning Iowa, should he come in a distant third, that could very well be the end of his presidential campaign. As for Haley, the expectations for her are far less dire, as she never expected to connect with Iowa's evangelical MAGA electorate. So, if Haley is able to pull off a strong second place finish, that could significantly boost her campaign and cement Haley as Trump's only challenger headed into New Hampshire next week. But in reality, tonight is simply the beginning of the Trump coronation, after Republicans failed to hold him accountable for attempting to overthrow the government on January 6th. Thank you for watching Graph's Grievances. Let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, share. It really helps me grow this channel. And join me tomorrow for more when we break down all the results out of Iowa.